A blond man with a scar stands confidently. He introduces himself as Mormont Carl, a mercenary. Next to him, an older man named Lyle says he ran a witch up. Beside him, a man in a robe named Grits says he worked at an antique store. A heavy-set man looks confused and says he doesn't know why he is here. He mentions it should be harvest time. A woman with red hair named Jenna speaks up. She says she was living in a remote forest before arriving here. A young man with black hair, named Han, introduces himself simply. He tells the group that he is just a farmer. The group looks around a large, dark circular room. They realize that it is strange that all 11 people here are from the same place, town near. They begin to panic. One man suggests they were kidnapped by a magician for experiments. He looks terrified. Suddenly a bright light shines from above. A small, flying fairy girl appears. She introduces herself as Usul, the manager of this place. Usul floats in the air with a cute smile but a cold attitude. Two men look at her in shock, wondering if this is a dream. Carl, the mercenary, gets angry. He demands to know why they were kidnapped and steps forward aggressively toward the small fairy. Carl grabs the tiny fairy in his large hand. He threatens her, saying he will make her talk. He tightens his grip. He warns her that if she wants to live, she should explain everything right now. The fairy, Usul, just sighs. She looks bored and unimpressed by his threat, muttering that he is annoying. Suddenly, blue energy flares around Carl. His eyes widen in shock as a mysterious power surrounds him. Usul smiles cruelly. In an instant, a massive force crushes down. Dark blood splatters across the floor. A system message appears in the air. Mormont Carl has returned to the goddess. The mercenary has been instantly killed. Usul hovers over the bloody remains. She dusts off her hands and coldly states the cause of death was simply a corpse. The other people scream in terror. They ask what she just did. Usul looks annoyed by their shouting. Usul turns to the group with a crazy smile. Her eyes glow red as she tells them it was just self-defense and warns them to listen. The title card appears. Pick Me Up, Infinite Gacha. The story of the brutal game begins. Han stares at the spot where Carl died. He is shaken, wondering if the man is really dead just like that. Usul announces that the master is starting the operation. She tells everyone to get ready to fight. A notification window appears showing a list of names. It says Heroes Drag and Drop, indicating a party is being formed. Usul points to a massive blue portal opening in the wall. It is a space-time rift. She laughs maniacally. A blue light scans the people. 5 names are selected. Lyle, Lanto, Marilyn, Kelgood, and Jackson. The selected people are terrified. The portal swirls ominously in front of them, looking like a giant monster's mouth. The chosen group hesitates. A young man starts crying. Han watches them, realizing something is wrong. Han looks up at the sky. He shouts loudly, asking if the master intends to send them in as a suicide squad. Han sees a status screen for the dead mercenary Carl. It shows he was a 1-star hero with no equipment. Han realizes they are weak. Han stands firm. He speaks to the air, addressing the invisible master who is controlling them like a game. Han yells at the sky again. He asks if the master really expects 1-star heroes to survive without any weapons. He sees a notification that the master has heard him. A 2-star hero just died, so the master decides to help. A new window appears. Master Waitover has spent gold to summon equipment. 10 items are being summoned. Lights flash in the air. Swords, bows, and shields materialize and fall onto the stone floor with a clatter. The items land in a pile. Han sees notifications for a sword, a crude bow, and a morning star. The fairy Usul is surprised. She didn't expect the master to actually listen to a level 1 hero like Han. Han turns to the terrified group. He points at the pile of weapons and shouts at them to move. He tells them there is no time to be scared. First pick and then think. He commands the group. Prompted by Han, the people rush toward the pile. They scramble to grab whatever weapon they can reach first. An old man grabs a mace. Others grab swords. They are still scared, but now they are armed as they walk toward the dark gate. The first party stands before the blue portal. The fairy yells at them to stop wasting time and enter. One person touches the portal. It ripples like water. They are sucked inside the dungeon. The old man looks back one last time. He is trembling, holding his weapon tightly. Han and Denna watch from the back. Han sees a notification that the party has entered the dungeon. Suddenly, red alert screens fill the air. Things pop up saying return to Goddess one after another. Han reads the names. Lyle is dead. Lanto is dead. The entire first party is being slaughtered instantly. A final message appears. Party 1 has been wiped out. You lose. The dungeon run failed completely. Han bites his lip. He realizes how brutal this game is. Usul floats nearby, laughing at their pathetic failure. The system immediately starts forming the second party. Han Denna, Dessel, and others are selected this time. Denna looks at Han nervously. Han tells her to be quiet and focus. They are about to be sent in. The new group is pushed forward. Han holds a longsword. Denna has a bow. They walk toward the blue light. Han steps into the portal. The blue energy swirls around him, transporting him to a different location. As they transport, the old man in their group suddenly yells. He claims his arthritis is acting up and he can't walk. The group arrives on the other side. It is a cold, dark stone hallway. The teleportation is complete. Han looks around. The ceiling is high and the atmosphere is heavy. This is the main dungeon. A system message welcomes them to floor 0. The objective is subjugation. They must kill all enemies. Suddenly shadows move in the distance. The enemies are approaching. Han grips his sword tighter. Han shouts to his team, "Don't space out. It's starting." He tries to snap them out of their fear. The monsters reveal themselves. They are goblins. But they look ferocious and dangerous. The old man screams in terror. The reality of the situation hits everyone hard. They are in a real battle. Han stands in front. He holds his sword ready. Behind him, Jaina and the others are trembling. 3 goblins charge forward. A window shows they are level 3. They have sharp teeth and rusty knives. The goblins roar and leap at the group. Their eyes glow red with bloodlust. The civilians behind Han panic. They turn around and try to run away from the monsters. Gina is frozen in fear. A system message says she is frightened, lowering her stats by 30%. The old man and the others reach the entrance, but they bang into an invisible barrier. They cannot leave. Manhwa, the woman screams. They are trapped in the room with the monsters. The old man bangs his fists on the invisible wall, begging to be let out. He yells about his back pain. The goblins are getting closer. Chaos erupts as the party realizes there is no escape. Han looks back at them. He realizes he is the only one who can fight. He sweats nervously but stays focused. Han turns to Gina. He asks her quickly, "Do you know how to shoot a bow?" Gina stammers, but Han interrupts. He reveals, "My father was a hunter." He tries to give her confidence. Han glances at the useless party members banging on the wall. He tells Gina, "Don't pay them any mind. They are useless pieces." A goblin hisses loudly, lunging straight for Han's throat. Its mouth is full of razor-sharp teeth. Han reacts instantly. He recalls the tutorial advice, sword or shield. He raises his sword just in time. Metal clashes against the goblin's claws. Sparks fly. Han's eyes glow with intensity. He is no longer just a farmer. His survival instincts are taking over. A larger goblin swings a massive axe down at him. It is a heavy, lethal attack. Han blocks the heavy strike with his sword. The impact is powerful, shaking his arms. The debris explodes around them from the force of the blow. Han grits his teeth, holding his ground against the monster. Jaina finally moves. She pulls back her bowstring, aiming an arrow while Han keeps the monsters busy. The final scene shows a dark, ominous door with faces carved into it. This is just the beginning of their climb up the tower. The story begins with an explanation of a mobile game called Pick Me Up. It is a game about climbing a 100-floor tower. Players have to build a base and manage heroes. It is known for being very difficult and requiring strategy. On a phone screen we see the game update news. A new event called the Advent Dungeon is opening for high-level players. A young man sits on his bed playing the game. He looks tired but focused. He complains that the game is finally having a real event. He explains that heroes are ranked from 1 star to 7 star. He is unlucky and has never found a high-ranking hero despite playing a lot. The game warns him that once a hero dies, they are gone forever. This is a hardcore rule that makes the game unique. Suddenly, huge red warning signs appear on his phone screen. His entire party of heroes is frightened. He is confused because his party is strong but they are terrified. A warning message flashes repeatedly on the screen. He sees a strange level 999 shadow monster on his screen. It looks like a game bug. In an instant his entire party is wiped out. He stares at his phone in shock. The bug monster seems to look directly at him through the screen. A creepy voice comes from the phone saying, "Found you." A dark shadow hand reaches out from the screen. A monstrous face with a wide, sharp smile fills his vision. The man is terrified as the darkness swallows him. He wakes up in a strange digital space. A system window asks him to choose a name for a new account. He sees letters being typed automatically. The name Waitover is chosen. He wonders if the system means whatever. He is confused because he isn't typing anything. The system accepts the name and asks if he wants to play the tutorial. A narrative box explains the setting. He is now in a place called Town Air, a land where humans and non-humans love. The man opens his eyes. He is standing in a burning village. He is wearing armor and holding a sword. A system message tells him to save the world and climb the tower. He realizes he is inside the game. The tutorial quest starts. He must defeat goblins. He wonders if this is a dream or reality. His body starts moving on its own. The system says auto battle is commencing. He has no control over his limbs. A goblin jumps at him. His body dodges automatically because of the game's autoplay feature. He swings his sword. It feels real. The weight of the weapon and the heat of the fire are realistic. He slashes the goblin. Blood sprays out. He is shocked by the violence but realizes he must fight. The goblin screams and falls. The man looks at the dead monster feeling sick but alive. He realizes that killing a living thing feels terrible. The system declares stage clear. A level up message appears. Hanuslat has leveled up. He is confused about who Hanuslat is. He stands in the empty village. The player controlling the game, decides to do a summon. A menu opens in the sky. The master spends 500 gems for a premium summon. Bright lights flash as a new character is being pulled from the gacha system. The man Han watches the sky. He wonders if he was summoned here just like this new hero. A golden door opens in the sky. This indicates a high-ranking hero is coming. A silhouette of a female knight appears in the light. She looks powerful and elegant. She lands gracefully on the ground. Energy swirls around her. She is a 4-star hero. Han looks at her with wide eyes. He asks if she was summoned too. A status screen shows her name is Shay. She is a level 1 knight with high stats. She looks at Han coldly. She asks for his name, treating him like a commoner. He stammers his real name, Han Sejin, but then corrects himself to his character name Han Aslat. The system prompts the master to form a party. Han and She are placed in the same team. They enter the next battle. Shay is incredibly strong. She moves faster than Han can see. She destroys 5 goblins in an instant. Han realizes the huge power gap between a 1-star and a 4-star hero. After the battle, Han grabs the fairy Asul. He demands answers about why he is here. He yells that he is Han Sejin from Earth, specifically from the Gangseo district in Sil. Asul is confused and annoyed. She tells him to stop talking nonsense and look at the game god. Han shows her the manual. He knows everything about the game because he was a top player. Asul gets angry. She tries to fly away, but Han keeps asking if she knows about the real world. Suddenly, a blue light surrounds them. Asul panics and says the master is doing something else. They are pulled into a new room. It is the synthesis chamber. Han falls to the floor. She is also there. She looks calm, not knowing what is about to happen. Han realizes what is going on. The master is about to combine 2 heroes to make one stronger. Usually, you sacrifice a weak hero to upgrade a strong one. Han is terrified because he is the weak one. A diagram shows how synthesis works. 2 heroes go in, one comes out stronger, the other dies. Han looks at the selection screen. He sees his face and Shay's face. She expects to be chosen as the sacrifice. He screams, "No way, I'll die." But the cursor moves strangely. The master selects She as the sacrifice instead of Han. Han is shocked. He shouts, "Are you crazy? Who sacrifices a 4-star for a 1-star? She begins to glow. She looks at her hands as she starts to fade away. She looks at Han one last time. She smiles sadly, accepting her fate as gained data. Shay disappears completely into particles of light. The valuable 4-star hero is gone. The energy flows into Han. He is powered up, but he is horrified by the mistake. The master has just wasted a powerful unit. Han realizes the person playing this game is a complete beginner or an idiot. Han is thrown back onto the battlefield. He is still in shock from surviving the synthesis. He screams in frustration. Damn it. The game continues without pausing. A giant goblin attacks him while he is distracted. Han barely notices it in his rage. He dodges the attack by instinct. He is furious at the unfairness of this world. He remembers the face of the bug monster that brought him here. He vows revenge. He decides he will not die here. He will survive and find that bug. Han swings his sword with new strength. The power from Shay makes him stronger. He cuts through the goblin easily. His eyes are glowing red with determination. He yells at the old men in his party, "Don't let your guard down." Phut. He realizes he has to carry this weak team. He acts like a leader now. Han stands amidst the dead bodies of goblins. He pants heavily. He thinks back to his life on Earth. He was a famous gamer named Loki. He was ranked 5th in the world. He knows every item, strategy, and secret in this game. He looks at the battlefield. To him, it is just a game bore that he knows how to win. He turns to Jaina, the archer. He gives her a command, looking confident. He tells himself that even if the master is an idiot, he can win because he is an expert. He clenches his fist. He decides he will drag this account to victory no matter what. He looks up at the sky, imagining the player watching him on a screen. He smiles menacingly. He challenges the master and the bug monster. "Is it fun?" he asks. He promises to survive until the very end and clear the game. The screen shows a close-up of Han's card. He is dirty and bloody but alive. A gold border surrounds his card. It shows his name Uslat and his survival. The final results screen appears. Many names are grayed out, meaning they died. Only Han and Gina remain active. Han stands in the training yard. It is a large, empty area surrounded by high walls. He runs laps around the yard. He moves so fast that a blue blur trails behind him. His feet pound against the dirt. He pushes his body to the limit to increase his stats. The fairy, Usul, watches him from above. Han is exhausted, gasping for breath, but he refuses to stop. A system status screen appears. Usul at 1-star level 5. His strength has increased to 15. Han wipes sweat from his face. He looks determined. He knows he must get stronger to survive. The title card, Pick Me Up, appears. The logo shines in gold and pink letters. Han sprints again. He tells himself he needs to change mentally, not just physically. Later, he lies on the ground, shirtless and panting. He is completely drained of energy. Suddenly, the training dummy's arm swings and hits him. He grunts in pain but gets back up. Han starts doing push-ups. Sweat drips from his chin onto the stone floor. Jenna approaches him. Han looks up, surprised to see her watching him train. Han continues his push-ups. He ignores the pain in his muscles. Jenna looks at him with a serious expression. She holds a wooden bow in her hand. She grips the bow tightly. She tells him she wants to help and won't be useless. Jenna stands in position. She pulls back the bowstring. Aiming at his straw dummy, she releases the arrow. It flies through the air with a sharp asterisk twang asterisk. The arrow hits the dummy right in the head. The straw head explodes from the impact. Han looks at her, impressed. He didn't expect a 1-star hero to have such good aim. Jenna smiles confidently. She prepares another arrow, ready to prove her worth. Han looks at Jenna and thinks to himself she's a gem. She has real potential. Jenna reaches out her hand. She asks Han to take care of her as a teammate. Han shakes her hand. A system message says a friendship bonus has been created between them. Han cups his hands and shouts loudly. He is calling for the fairy, Usul. Usul appears in a puff of sparkles. She looks annoyed and asks why he is calling her. Usul crosses her arms. She complains that she is busy, but she came anyway. She floats in the air, wearing her black gothic dress. She looks down at Han arrogantly. Han stares at her with a cold, serious look. He wants answers about the game world. Han asks her about the master and the system messages. Usul looks nervous. Han questions if the time flows differently here. He is trying to figure out the rules. Usul gets angry. She shouts, "Stop asking me questions," and flails her arms. Han tries to grab her, but she is too fast. They argue back and forth. Usul flies away in a huff. She yells that she won't tell him anything. Han turns back to Jenna. They stand in the quiet training yard. Han explains their situation. She tells her they have to climb the 100-floor tower to escape. Jenna listens carefully. She asks if that means they just have to keep fighting monsters. Han looks around the base. He explains that their lives depend on the master's choices. A view of the base shows a fountain and buildings. It looks peaceful, but it is a prison. A top-down map shows the layout of the town hall and training grounds. Inside a room with a fireplace, hero cards lie on a table. New heroes will arrive soon. Han remembers his training. He realizes that repetitive actions create new skills. He visualizes a sword slash. A flashback shows the hero Shay fighting effortlessly. Han jumps high in the air. He is testing his new leg strength. A system message appears in the sky. "Welcome to Pick Me Up. The master has logged in." Han stands up straight. His status window shows he has learned beginner swordsmanship. Han looks at the sky. He senses that the master is about to summon new heroes. Han walks to the plaza with Jenna. Han asks, "Already?" Surprised by the sudden activity, a notification pops up. Master Waitover has acquired hero yell since 1 star. 3 men appear in a flash of light. They look confused and disoriented. Suddenly, a massive blue portal opens. A dark voice yells, "Pon." Han shouts at the new men. Prepare to fight. He tells them to grab weapons. Han holds his sword ready. The new men are just civilians and look terrified. One man screams, "Where am I?" Master begs to be sent back home. Jenna tries to explain they were pulled here, but the men are panicking too much to listen. Han looks annoyed. He knows their panic will only get them killed in the dungeon. Usul flies behind the men. She starts pushing them toward the open portal. Usul smiles cruelly. "Have fun," till she says as she forces them into the rift. Willow digital blocks surround the fairy. She uses her magic to transport them. The portal swirls with energy. The men scream as they are sucked inside. Han and Jenna step into the light. They enter the dungeon to start the battle. They ride in a grassy field. Level 4 planeswolves appear with glowing yellow eyes. The new men scream in terror. "What is that?" One yells, pointing at the monsters. Jenna freezes up. A system message says Jenna is frightened and her stats drop by 30% to Han slams his shield into Jenna. He shouts, trying to snap her out of it. Jenna looks shocked. Han's rough action brings her back to reality. The fear status clears. Jenna shouts, coming, and readies her bow. The wolves charge at full speed. Their jaws are open, ready to bite. Han blocks a wolf's attack with his arm. The beast is heavy and strong. The wolf bites down hard on Han's arm guard. Han grits his teeth in pain. Han screams. He uses all his strength to push the monster back. Han thrusts his sword upward. The blade pierces right through the wolf's body. Han plants his foot firmly on the ground to steady himself. He slashes horizontally. Blood sprays from the wolf as he cuts it. Han grips his sword tightly. He asks, is it still alive? With a powerful swing, he cuts the wolf's head clean off. The head flies into the air. Han stands victorious. He swings his sword to clear the blood, ready for the next enemy. The battle is intense. Han swings his shield desperately, shouting in surprise because the giant wolf monster is still moving even after being hit. The wolf slams its paw down with a heavy crash, kicking up dirt and debris, forcing Han to jump back. Han slides across the ground, barely dodging the attack. He grips his sword tight, realizing this fight is far from over. The title of the story appears, Pick Me Up, indicating the start of the chapter. A dagger flies through the air and sticks into the ground near the monster's feet, distracting it for a split second. The giant wolf lunges forward with its mouth wide open, trying to bite Han, but Han raises his shield just in time. Han struggles under the weight of the beast. He grits his teeth, using all his strength to keep the sharp teeth away from his face. The wolf bites down hard on the metal shield. Sparks fly as Han tries to push the heavy monster away from him. Seeing an opening, Han's eyes glow with determination. He prepares to counterattack while the wolf is distracted by the shield. With a swift motion, Han sashes his sword upward, cutting deep into the monster and pushing it back. Palisir. Blood sprays into the air as the wolf finally collapses. The massive beast falls to the ground, defeated. Han stands there panting heavily. Sweat runs down his face as he looks at the dead monster to make sure it doesn't move again. He looks exhausted and annoyed. He wipes his face and wonders if the fight was so hard because his weapon is bad. The dead wolf is covered in arrows. It looks like a Pinkshin because Gina the archer shot it so many times. Gina walks over to Han. They are both tired. She asks how many arrows she used and Han just stares at the fallen enemy. Han looks at Jaina and the dead monster. He confirms that the enemy is definitely dead now. Suddenly, a blue light surrounds them. This is the teleportation magic that takes them out of the dungeon after winning. A reward screen appears. It shows they earn 5,000 gold, some iron ore, and leather for clearing the stage. They arrive back in the main town square. A message says, "Congratulations on clearing the second floor." Jaina and Han look confused. The teleportation was sudden and they are still recovering from the adrenaline of the fight. Halasha 30. Han looks around the town square. He is trying to understand the rules of this strange world. He stands silently, thinking about their progress. He realizes that if they keep winning, they will be sent to harder floors. Suddenly, the fairy guide, Nuris, flies in. She looks angry and kicks Han in the back of the head, yelling at him to pay attention. Han turns around, looking annoyed at the fairy. Nuri starts explaining how time works in this place. Han opens his status window to check his growth. He sees his level has gone up and checks his stats like strength and speed. In the background, the three other men who were summoned with them are talking. They look scared and useless. Han analyzes his stats carefully. He notices his strength increased, but his intelligence went down slightly. He realizes his body is changing. One of the other men, a blonde guy named Aaron, stands quietly. He seems different from the cowardly ones, appearing calm. Han thinks about the difficulty. He knows that if they hadn't improved, it would have died on the first floor. Jenna talks to Han. She asks why he is thinking so hard and suggests they should just focus on surviving for now. Halaj 4. Jenna looks frustrated. She points at the three men who didn't fight. She asks Han why they have to carry these useless people. The three men, the bald guy, the man with the mustache, and Aaron are standing together. The mustache man crosses his arms and refuses to help. The bald man turns his back and says they won't fight. He says this world is crazy and he just wants to go home. Han snaps. He grabs the bald man by his shirt aggressively. Han is angry because these men are putting everyone in danger. Han pulls the man close and shouts at him. He tells them that if they don't fight, they will die. Han shoves the man to the ground. The man falls into a puddle looking terrified of Han's anger. Han looks down at them with cold eyes. He warns them that he won't protect people who don't contribute. Later, the scene changes to the training grounds. There are wooden dummies set up for practice. Han is alone in the training yard. He swings his wooden sword repeatedly, practicing his strikes to get stronger. The view zooms out to show the whole training area. It is peaceful, but Han is working hard to prepare for the next battle. Halaj 5 Han asks Jenna to help him train. Jenna pulls back her bowstring, aiming directly at Han. She fires arrows at him rapidly. Han blocks them with his shield, creating loud clanging sounds. Han moves quickly, dodging and blocking. He is training his reflexes to handle multiple attacks at once. One arrow slips past his guard and stabs into his arm. Han grunts in pain but doesn't stop. Han rips the arrow out of his arm. He ignores the blood and tells Jenna to keep shooting. A system message appears on his leg. Because he kept taking damage, he has learned a new skill, pain resistance. Han raises his shield again. His eyes are focused. He tells Jenna not to stop until he says so. The ground is littered with broken arrows. They have been training for hours without a break. A view of the town map appears. It shows different buildings like the training ground and the town square. Suddenly, Norris the fairy appears on a giant screen. She yells at them, "Welcome back. Time to work." Halaj 6. The next day Han and Jenna are stretching. They are ready for another battle. Jenna looks confident. The three useless men are complaining again. They are crying because they only get to eat potatoes and want to go home. Norris gets angry at their complaining. She flies over and pulls the girl's hair or the man's hair, yelling at them to shut up. Norris uses her magic to kick them. She forces everyone toward the portal for the next battle. The men scream as they are dragged into the light. They beg for mercy. But the battle is starting. The scene goes dark as they enter the dungeon. A loading box appears. They arrive on the battlefield. A group of ugly goblins is waiting for them, screaming and waving weapons. Han charges in immediately. He blocks a goblin's attack with his shield and prepares to strike. He swings his sword powerfully. He cuts through the monster easily because of his intense training. A blood splatters as Han kills the goblin. He is much faster and stronger than he was yesterday. Halaj 7. The battle ends quickly. A loot screen shows they collected gold, iron and leather again. Jenna looks at Han. She is surprised that the battle was so easy this time. Han presses the yes button on a window. The master, the player controlling the game, is sending them into battle again immediately. Another portal opens. A message says objective, eliminate all enemies. They have to fight again without rest. This time they are fighting wolves. Han stands in the front protecting the group while Jenna shoots from behind. Jenna cheers. She is getting used to the fighting and feels stronger. Han wipes sweat from his forehead. Even though they are winning, fighting over and over is tiring. Stage clear appears again. The master is making them farm the first floor repeatedly for resources. They enter the portal again. Han swings his sword at another monster. It is an endless cycle of fighting. Jenna leans on a sword, exhausted. She asks Han who knows when this will end. They are both very tired now. Halaj 8. Finally they return to the town at night. It is dark and quiet. Jenna looks at Han with a worried face. She asks what is happening to the people who didn't fight. They look towards a large, ominous building. It is the synthesis chamber. The heavy doors of the chamber slide open with a loud thud. Voodoo light spills out. The three useless men, the bald guy, the mustache man, and the blonde guy are standing there looking confused and scared. Han watches from a distance. His face is in shadow. He realizes what the master is planning to do. The master looks at his phone screen. He sees that he has run out of space for heroes and needs to make a choice. Han realizes that the master isn't clueless. The master knows exactly who fought hard and who was lazy during the battle. A system message appears. The master drags Han and Jenna into the favorite list to save them. He selects the other three men for the synthesis room. The fairy guide Norris orders the three useless men Yeltsin, Toby, and the other one to enter the synthesis room immediately. Yeltsin, the man with the mustache, panics. He grabs Han's arm and begs for help, asking what will happen to them inside. Han looks at him coldly. He asks why he should help someone who didn't lift a finger to fight during the battle. Yeltsin gets angry and screams that it's unfair. But Han ignores him. Han says he is bored of their complaining. The heavy doors of the synthesis room open. A bright, ominous light shines from inside. Yeltsin screams in terror as an invisible force drags him into the room against his will. He distorts and glitches like a computer error as he is broken down into data to be used as fuel. How lies to who? Jenna walks out of the room first. She looks confused and checks her body to see if she is okay. She tells Han that she feels different. A message confirms she has leveled up and gained a new skill called Hawkeye. The other two men, Toby and Aaron, watch in fear. They realize that their friend was sacrificed to make Jenna stronger. Nuri's points her finger at the bald man Toby. She shouts that it is his turn to go inside. Toby sweats profusely. He is trembling with fear because he saw what happened to Yeltsin. Han turns his back and walks away. He doesn't want to watch another person die. Suddenly, Toby smiles. He misunderstands the situation and yells, "Back home," thinking the portal sends him back to Earth, but as he steps in, he screams in agony. His body turns into particles of light and he disappears forever. Han and Eren stand outside. The light fades. Han gained a skill called composure from Toby's sacrifice. Han, the blonde man, is the last one left of the lazy group. He looks shocked and terrified, realizing he barely survived. Talajathuri. Later, Jenna talks to Han. She looks scared and asks if she will also be sacrificed if she becomes useless one day. She looks down at the ground trembling. Ideally, she knows the answer is yes. Han walks ahead of her. He explains that the enemies will only get stronger, so they must get stronger too or die. He looks back and gives her advice. He tells her to stay close to the strong if she wants to survive in this harsh world. Jenna looks at his back. She takes his advice to heart, deciding to follow him. The scene changes to the next day at the training grounds. Wooden dumbbells stand ready for practice. Suddenly, Eren bends his body in a perfect 90-degree bow. He shouts loudly at Han, "Please take care of me." Eren yells. He has decided to stop being lazy and begs Han to train him. Han looks at him with a blank expression. He is surprised that the coward has changed his attitude. Jenna and Han look at Eren. Eren explains he wants to survive and will do whatever Han says. Palace V. Eren stands up straight. He apologizes for causing trouble and admits he was a coward before. Han accepts his apology. He picks up a long wooden spear and hands it to Eren. Han explains that he isn't an expert, but the spear is the easiest weapon for a beginner to learn quickly. Eren stares at the weapon. It is just a simple wooden stick, but it is his lifeline now. He grips it tightly with both hands. He has never held a weapon before, so his stance is awkward. Han and Jenna watch him. Han explains the basics. Swords are for close range and spears are for mid-range fighting. Without any warning, Han swings his wooden sword violently at Eren to test his reflexes. Eren panics. He barely manages to lift the spear to block the attack, shouting in surprise. When he hits him hard, Eren loses his balance and falls to the ground, tumbling in the dirt. Han doesn't stop. He swings again while Eren is down, forcing him to keep defending. Palace v. Eren looks terrified. Han scolds him, asking if he plans to close his eyes during a real battle with monsters. Eren screams as he blocks another heavy strike. His arms are shaking from the impact. Han kicks Eren away. He is being extremely harsh, treating this like a real life or death fight. Eren is on his knees vomiting from exhaustion. Han looks down at him and tells him to give up if it's too hard. Eren wipes his mouth. He stammers that he cannot give up because his little sister is waiting for him back home. Han pauses. He remembers he has no one waiting for him. He looks at Eren with a hint of respect. Eren looks up. He is beaten and bruised, but his eyes are burning with a new determination to live. Han smiles a dark, confident smile. He likes to look in Eren's eyes. A system notification pops up. The master has gathered enough resources to build a new facility called the Forge. Kali 6. Han walks through the town square. He knows that unlocking the forge means the master is following a specific guide. He stops and calls out into the air. He knows the fairy. Norris is watching him. Norris appears in a puff of smoke. She is annoyed and asks why he is calling her so casually. Han asks her about the tips she sends to the master. He suspects she is using information from the internet. He leans against a wall and grins. He reveals that he knows the strategy the master is using comes from an online forum. Norris floats in the air, shocked. A shadowy dragon image appears behind her, showing her true power, but she is confused by Han's knowledge. Han asks her if she knows a famous player on that forum named Loki. Norris gets excited. She says of course she knows Loki. He is the god of pick-me-up, a legendary player who did the impossible. Han's expression changes. He looks at her with intense, glowing blue eyes. He smirks and drops the bombshell secret, "I am Loki." Han looks at the fairy guide Norris, and asks her why she likes the player Loki so much. Norris answers with passion. She says she loves Loki because he is the only one who can make the impossible possible. Han smiles mysteriously. He repeats her words quietly to himself, making the impossible possible. Norris gets annoyed. She thinks Han is just a clueless newbie and yells at him for pretending to know about her idol. Suddenly, Han recites a long string of numbers. It is a secret account ID number that only the owner would know. Norris freezes in shock. She knows that number is top secret information used to prevent hackers. Han looks at her with glowing blue eyes. He calmly asks if she needs his Google account too, revealing that he is actually Loki. Nora's attitude changes completely. She becomes a crazy fangirl and screams, begging him for an autograph. She dances around happily holding a paper. She explains that his signature is required to become a VIP member of his fan club. Han sighs and signs the paper against the wall. He looks bored and tells her to hurry up. Hao lies too. Noris suddenly looks terrified. She realizes she has been rude and bossy to the legendary Loki this whole time. She asks him about his original account, Niflheim. She wonders what is happening to his base while he is gone. An image of a massive tower appears. Han's original base had 13 floors and over 20,000 heroes waiting for his command. Han looks away, feeling bitter. He says that without him there to lead, all those troops and facilities are meaningless. Noris looks sad. She worries about the thousands of soldiers left behind without their master. Han looks at her seriously. He asks if she can send him back to his world. But she shakes her head because she doesn't have that power. Han asks about the current master, Waitover. He wants to know if the person controlling them now is a human from Earth. Noris confirms it. She explains that Waitover is just a normal human playing a game, unaware that the heroes are real living people. Han looks at the sky, imagining the multiverse. He realizes that every time he played the game in the past, he was controlling real lives in another dimension. A system screen shows a silhouette of a player. Han realizes his past decisions as a gamer might have caused real deaths. How lies 3. Han asks Nurse a crucial question. If he climbs to the 100th floor of the tower, can he return to Earth? Nurse avoids his eyes. She nervously admits that she doesn't know the answer to that. Han decides to focus on the present. He looks at the training dumbbells to evaluate his team's progress. He thinks about Gina. She is a genius who learned how to fight with daggers incredibly fast. However, he worries about Eren. Eren is slow and weak with the spear and Han fears he might die soon. Later, Gina walks with Han. She is jealous because Nurse keeps whispering secrets to Han. Gina yells at the fairy. She calls Nurse arrogant and demands to know what they are talking about. Han wants her to be quiet. He reaches out to stop the argument before it gets too loud. Gina looks surprised. She wonders why Han is protecting the annoying fairy. /IV. Han grabs Nurse by the head to physically shut her up. He holds her like a doll so she doesn't reveal his secret identity. Gina is confused. She asks what he is doing with the fairy. But Han ignores her and keeps walking. They walk through the empty town square. Han leads them towards the storage buildings. Inside the dark warehouse, Han searches through piles of items. He finds some iron ore and wood. They leave the warehouse pushing a cart. Han is taking the materials to the blacksmith's shop. They arrive at a small building with a chimney. It is the forge where weapons can be crafted. Inside, a hot fire burns in the furnace. The anvil is ready for work. Han stands in front of the fire. He is preparing to do something risky. A system warning pops up asking if he wants to synthesize. He has no blueprint, so there will be a penalty. Han ignores the warning. He tells Gina to just watch and see what he can do. /V. A game interface appears in the air. It shows puzzle difficulty settings for crafting. Blue data blocks start falling rapidly. This is a mini-game that masters play to craft items manually. A timer appears. He has only 3 minutes to complete the complex puzzle. Han reaches his hand out. He focuses intently on the falling blocks. Norris watches with starry eyes. She is amazed by his speed and calls it the legendary Hand of God technique. Han's hand moves at lightning speed. He taps the blue blocks in the air before they disappear. A bright light shines from the anvil. The scattered materials fuse together into a weapon. A status screen appears. Despite using poor materials, Han created a high-quality, well-forged iron sword thanks to his skill. Han is busy making weapons. A blue window pops up 3 times. It says he had ultra-great success. He successfully makes a bow, a spear, and a shield. All of them are rank C items. Isel the fairy floats next to Han. She looks at the new weapons and asks if they are all just C rank. Han explains that he cannot make anything better with the poor materials he has right now. Han checks the elasticity of the bow's string. He tells Isel that if he makes items that are too strong right now, it will look suspicious. He doesn't want to draw too much attention yet. Han holds up the sharp spear he just made. He looks serious. He says he doesn't want the master of this game to get the wrong idea about him yet, so he is keeping his skills hidden. The title of the story, Pick Me Up, appears on the screen with a digital glitch effect. The scene changes to a forest. Leaves are falling from the trees as the wind blows through the dense green woods. Jana pulls back the string of her bow. Her eyes are focused on a target hidden in the trees. She releases the arrow with a sharp sound. The arrow flies straight up into the air, cutting through the wind. It moves very fast towards something high up. The arrow hits a monster in the trees with a loud crash. The impact creates a burst of light and breaks the branches. Han, Jana, and Aaron stand together in the forest. A system window appears in front of them. It says Floor 4. Their mission is to wipe out all the enemies in this area. A large, scary monster that looks like a bird woman flies in the sky. It is the Harpy boss. Below her, smaller goblin monsters are ready to attack. The battle begins. The Harpy swoops down fast, attacking the group. The wind from her wings blows hard against them. Aaron is terrified. He screams loudly as he tries to dodge the attacks. He is panicking and losing his cool completely. Han moves quickly to dodge an attack. He looks calm and focused, unlike Aaron. He prepares to strike back. Han uses his shield to block a heavy hit. The impact makes a loud booming sound. He grits his teeth and holds his ground. Han slides back from the force of the attack, but he doesn't fall. He shouts as he pushes back against the enemy. Hannah sees an opening. She shoots another arrow at the flying enemy while shouting. She is trying her best to support Han. Aaron stands frozen in fear. A message box says his stats have dropped because he is frightened. He is sweating and shaking. Unable to fight properly, Han and Jenna fight back to back. Han is angry at Aaron for freezing up. He shouts orders to keep the team alive. Han yells furiously at Aaron. He tells him to snap out of it, or he will die. He asks Aaron if he is okay with failing again. Han swings his sword with all his strength. He cuts through the enemy in one clean motion, showing his true skill. Aaron gets hit and falls to the ground. He screams in pain, thinking this is the end for him. The battle ends. The dust settles. Han stands tall with his shield. Aaron, still on the ground, asks in a shaky voice what will happen to him now. Han looks down at Aaron coldly. Jenna stands behind Han. Han simply tells Aaron to live. Aaron looks at his hands. He realizes he is not dead. He shouts, "I'm alive, I survive." With pure joy, Aaron continues to scream in happiness. He can't believe he made it through the fight alive. Han and Jenna walk away. Jenna smiles at Han and talks about how he protected his underling. Han looks annoyed by the word. The team walks through a large gate, leaving the dungeon floor. Han walks in the back, thinking deeply. Han thinks about his past. In his old account, he was level 99 and had amazing items. He misses his old strength. Han remembers his old team. He visualizes the powerful 6-star hero cards he used to have, like Cirrus and Unit. Back at the town base, the central fountain begins to glow with a bright blue light. The fountain starts to change shape. The structure shifts and expands as it upgrades. The scene briefly shifts to a memory of a night sky. It is a quiet moment from Han's past memories. In the memory, two figures in white cloaks are talking. It is Cirrus and Unit. They are discussing the master. The two heroes look serious. They trust that their master will return or guide them. The memory fades. A red cape flows in the wind as the scene returns to the current time at the base. Rain falls on the town. A building begins to glow blue and expand. A message says the residence has leveled up to level 2. Inside, the cafeteria is built. Tables and chairs appear digitally. The heroes will now have better food to eat. The training grounds also upgrade. The floor glows as new equipment is added to help the heroes train better. Other buildings like the woodshop and forge combine together. They form a large equipment workshop. A large notification announces, "Great Town LV Ha!" The entire base has successfully upgraded. The view shows the new town square from above. It looks much cleaner and more advanced with digital blue lines everywhere. Jenna looks around with wide eyes. She is shocked by how much the town has changed in just a moment. Jenna turns to Han with a big smile. She asks if this isn't amazing. Han just walks with his hands in his pockets. Han walks through the new town. He acts like he isn't impressed. But he is observing everything. They enter a large hall. The ceiling is high and the room is spacious. It looks very expensive compared to before. Isel appears holding bags of money and gems. She looks very happy. She explains that the master spent real money to buy a package. Han smirks. He realizes the master must be an office worker with a job since he can afford to spend money on the game. Suddenly a bright light shines from the summoning area. Jenna and Aaron look surprised. New people are arriving. On the screen 2 cards appear. One is silver and one is gold. Beside them is a treasure chest full of pink gems. It is a premium summon. A group of confused people appears in the town square. They look like normal civilians. They are looking around, scared and lost. An older man with a beard steps forward. He asks nervously, "Who are you people?" He doesn't understand where he is. Han immediately draws his sword. He looks scary to get their attention. He tells them to be quiet and listen to him. Isel flies forward. She points at the group and asks if any of them are carpenters. The older man and a woman look up at the floating ferry. They are even more confused now. They ask if this is the Helheim thing. Han holds a megaphone. Jenna stands beside him. Han starts shouting questions asking for blacksmiths, tanners or cooks. Isol separates the people based on their jobs. The civilians are still bewildered but they move where they are told. The chapter ends with a view of the fully upgraded central structure. It looks like a large metallic tower. The base is now ready for the next level. Isol, the fairy, flies in front of the confused crowd of new people. She asks loudly if anyone there is a carpenter. She tells them to move to the side if they are. The new people look terrified. An older man and a woman wonder what is happening. They are confused about why they are being sorted by their jobs. Han stands with Jenna. He watches the people moving. He explains that since the town has new facilities, they need people with skills to work in them. Han looks cold and serious. He says that the system in the waiting room is changing. From now on, people without special skills will have to fight to survive. Han speaks strictly. He says that anyone who is unskilled and useless doesn't even deserve to eat leftovers. He is scaring them to make them work hard. Han points to the dungeon door. He orders the newly summoned people, who are just 1-star ranked, to go inside. He calls this process weeding out the weak ones. A system window pops up. It says John has returned to the embrace of the goddess. Then another one says Teddy has returned. 2 people have already died in the dungeon. Haim watches calmly. He says there is no need to explain things to people who are going to die anyway. He expects at least 2 or 3 of them to survive the test. Isol flies next to Han. She suggests that Eren should join the next fighting party. She thinks it will be good practice for him since he lacks experience. Han looks at the menu. A message asks if Eren can join Party 3. Han thinks for a moment. He decides to let Eren go to gain some combat experience. Han warns Eren. He says helping is fine, but Eren shouldn't do anything stupid. Eren looks nervous, but agrees to go. 3 young men stand with swords. They look unsure of themselves. These are the other new survivors who have to fight alongside Eren. The group stands in front of the glowing blue dungeon gate. They are about to enter for one to prove their worth. Han and Jaina stay behind. Jaina asks Han if he is really okay with sending them alone. Han says he wants to see who has the potential to survive. The scene shifts to the dungeon. The new team is fighting. It is chaotic and they are struggling against the monsters. One of the new boys, Dika, shouts a warning. They are trying to work together to stay alive. Han watches from a distance, observing their movements. He wants to see if they have the guts to be real warriors. Inside the dungeon, Jaina, who decided to help, shoots an arrow. It flies past the enemies, clearing a path for the others. Eren swings his long spear. He is fighting hard. He blocks an attack from a monster and tries to push it back. Han observes Eren's movements. He notices Eren's level is low, but he is trying his best. Han asks, "Is that all?" expecting more from him. The battle ends. The group stands amidst the defeated monsters. They are panting and tired, but they survive the floor. Back in the town, Eren walks out of the gate. He is covered in dirt and monster blood. He holds his spear tightly, looking exhausted but proud that he lived. Han and Jaina are talking in the field. Jaina complains that she is hungry. Han looks at his tablet. The screen shows that the heroes are unhappy with the food. Han walks away. He tells Jaina he understands. Jaina yells after him, asking if he really listens to her. Han looks at the tablet screen again. It explicitly says Jaina is discontent about the food. He knows he needs to fix the food situation to keep morale high. The team walks through the grass toward the dining hall. The 3 new boys follow Eren, looking up to him now. They enter the cafeteria. It is a nice wooden building, but is empty. There is no food prepared yet. Inside the kitchen, there are only baskets of raw potatoes. There are no other ingredients available. Jaina sees the potatoes and cheers loudly. Wah! She high-fives Eren. She is just happy to be alive and to have something to eat. Later, they sit at the table. A bowl of boiled potatoes is in front of them. Jaina looks angry now. She is sick of eating only potatoes every day. A bearded man named Dolph stands up. He claims he can cook. He says he is a chef. Han looks at him suspiciously. Han opens Dolph's status window. It shows his stats. Strength 12, Intelligence 11, but under skills it says N/A he has no cooking skill. Han stares at Dolph. He asks cold-heartedly, "You are a chef?" Dolph starts to sweat. He realizes Han can see the truth. Han calls out a quiet woman named Chloe. He asks if she is the one with the cooking skill. Chloe looks surprised and scared to be called on. Han assigns Chloe as the new head chef. A system message confirms the change. Dolph looks embarrassed that his lie was caught. Chloe goes to the kitchen. She starts cooking the potatoes properly. She uses seasonings and makes a soup. The pot glows with a golden light. The food is served. It looks delicious. It is mashed potatoes and soup, much better than the plain, boiled ones they had before. Jenna takes a bite. Her eyes widen. She smiles and says it is delicious. She didn't know potatoes could taste this good. Chloe smiles highly. She explains she just used some spices. Everyone is happy with the meal. While they eat, Han starts speaking. He tells them to listen carefully. He warns them that he won't say this twice. Han looks at the new group. He tells them to teach the next batch of newbies what to do. He says if they don't want to die, they must work. Han points his fork at a potato. He reminds them that non-combatants like the carpenter and chef are safe for now, but they must not get lazy. He warns that if a better chef or carpenter is summoned later, the current ones will be sent back to fight in the dungeon. No job is guaranteed forever. The scene changes to a map of the base. It shows new buildings. Han is managing the town layout to be more efficient. The next day training begins. Han stands with a wooden stick. The three new boys Zio, Hansen, and Dika stand before him ready to train. Han swings the stick fast. Asterisk wuck! Exclamation asterisk. He hits them to correct their posture. He is training them hard to increase their stats. One of the boys falls over. Han looks down at him. He tells them to get up. He says Aaron was a bad influence, so he will train them personally. Later Han and Jenna stand outside. Jenna asks about the next floor. Han explains that floor 5 is a boss floor. An image of a huge dark tower appears. It looks intimidating. Han explains that the difficulty jumps up every 5 floors. Han looks at the tower map on the ground. He says that even he might not survive the next floor. It is going to be very dangerous. The chapter ends showing the character cards of the 3 new survivors, Dio, Hansen, and Dika. They are now officially part of the team. The battle is intense on the 4th floor. The harpy boss screams as it attacks. The monsters are fierce, but the team is ready. Han stands in the back and gives orders. He tells the new recruits, Dio and Hansen, to act as shields. He explains that they don't need to attack recklessly. The recruits scream as they hold their shields up. They are terrified, but they trust Han's command. A monster strikes a shield with a loud crash. The recruit grunts under the heavy impact but holds his ground. Front behind the shield, a recruit thrusts his spear forward. He stabs the goblin, following the formation perfectly. Han watches them closely. He sees the recruits fighting together. A system message says great success. Han steps in to finish off a monster. He swings his sword quickly, cutting through the enemy with ease. Han looks calm. He thinks to himself that he could clear the stage alone, but he needs the team to practice their formations. The stage is cleared. Han stands amidst the defeated monsters. He tells the recruits that they will definitely be harder quests soon that he can't handle alone. Dio and Hansen high-five each other. They are excited that they leveled up. They thank Han for his guidance. Later, the 3 recruits walk together. They are laughing and saying how easy the fight was. They feel confident now. Jenna talks to Han. She notices that he doesn't look happy. Han explains that the master has been logging in more often recently. The view shows a new building. It is the equipment workshop. The master has been upgrading the town facilities. Inside the workshop, a blacksmith is working hard near a hot furnace. He is making weapons for the team. Han and Aaron stand with new gear. They have better armor and weapons now. Thanks to the new workshop, Jenna shows off her new outfit. She looks strong and ready. The team's survivability has increased a lot with this new equipment. A screen shows 3 cards. One of them is Dolph, the man who lied about being a chef. He is being used as material for synthesis. He was removed because he was useless. One of the recruits practices with his new shield. He looks determined not to end up like Dolph. Han speaks to Jenna and Isel. He warns them not to get too comfortable. He says if they are useless, they will be discarded. The team walks towards the gate again. Aaron says he will keep Han's warning in mind. They are heading to the 5th floor. A bright blue light flashes as the portal opens. The team is transported to the next stage. They arrive in a city. There is a tall stone tower in the distance. The sky is gray and gloomy. The streets are empty. The buildings look old and abandoned. There is no sign of life anywhere. The blue portal closes behind them. The team stands on the cobblestone street, looking around confusedly. Han looks around. He notices something strange. There are no monsters here yet. Aaron and Han look at the buildings. It is too quiet. Han says this is different from the usual subjugation quests. Han's face is serious. He sees dried blood stains on the ground, but no bodies. One of the recruits screams in terror. He points at something near a wall. It is a skeleton sitting against a wooden fence. It looks like it has been dead for a long time. Jana and Aaron look at the skeleton. They realize this place is dangerous. Han tells them to focus. Han looks up at the tall bell tower. He orders Jana to climb it and see what is happening outside the city. Jana climbs the tower quickly. She reaches the top and looks out into the distance. From the high vantage point, she looks down at the city walls and the fields beyond. Jana squints her eyes. She sees a massive cloud of dust approaching the city. She yells down to Han. She stutters, terrified by what she sees. Jana's face is pale. She screams thousands. She can't believe the number of enemies. Han listens from the ground. He asks calmly, "How many?" The view shows the field outside the city. It is covered in a sea of green monsters. Thousands of goblins are rushing toward them. The goblins are running fast. They look hungry and violent. Their red eyes glow in the dust. A system window appears. It says Goblin LV-1846. There are nearly 2,000 enemies. Back on the ground, the recruit panics. He asks if they should run or hide. He is shaking with fear. Aaron looks at Han. He asks what they should do against so many enemies. Han tries to open a building door, but it is locked. A red message says you cannot enter this area. They cannot hide inside. Han starts running. He shouts, 10 minutes. We just need to survive for 10 minutes. Han's face is sweating. He knows the survival rate for this kind of quest is very low. He needs a plan fast. Jenna jumps down from the tower. She lands gracefully and joins the team. Han leads them into a narrow alleyway. He wants to funnel the enemies so they don't get surrounded. Han points to the different entrances. He starts giving out specific positions to everyone. The view from above shows the team in the alley. There is debris everywhere. The team huddles. They shout, "Yes, we'll do our best." They are ready to fight for their lives. The recruits stand at the back entrance. Han takes the front. They are tense, waiting for the enemy. Han talks to Jenna. He tells her to save her arrows and wait for his signal. The recruit Zio frantically piles up wood and debris. He is building a barricade to slow down the goblins. Han helps move a heavy piece of wood. He shouts that they have 30 minutes. But the timer only starts when they fight. Suddenly, a goblin appears at the end of the alley. It snarls, spotting the humans. The goblin's face is terrifying. It has sharp teeth and red eyes. It screams to alert the others. More goblins appear. They start climbing over the wooden barricade the team built. Han swings his sword instantly. He cuts down the first goblin that jumps over. The goblins scream as they rush in. The battle has officially started. A shout comes from the back. They're in. The barricade is breached. Han fights like a whirlwind. He slashes left and right, killing multiple goblins at once. His sword cuts through a goblin cleanly. Black blood sprays into the air. The goblins are sent flying back by the force of Han's attacks. He is holding the line by himself. Jenna watches Han with wide eyes. She is amazed at his strength and speed. Han moves so fast he looks like a blur. He is not letting a single goblin pass him. A massive group of goblins screams as they push forward, trying to overwhelm Han with numbers. Aaron is fighting on his side. He stabs his spear forward, piercing a goblin. He is holding his ground too. Han shouts orders while fighting. He tells them to pile the dead bodies to make a wall. The alley is filled with red glowing eyes. There seems to be no end to the monsters. More and more red eyes appear in the darkness. The horde is endless. Han yells, "Don't die a useless death in a place like this." He is determined to keep everyone alive. The sun begins to rise over the quiet town, but the peaceful atmosphere is completely broken by the battle at the walls. Suddenly, a terrifying goblin with red eyes screams right in front of the defenders. But before it can bite, a sword slashes down violently, killing the monster instantly. The boss shouts orders loudly to his exhausted team, yelling, "Zid, switch with Han's son right now." Zid is panting heavily. His stamina is almost gone and he looks like he can barely stand up. Another teammate steps forward, gripping his sword tightly despite the fear in the air. The boss swings his weapon with incredible speed, cutting through the goblin horde without mercy. Looking at the endless waves of enemies, the boss realizes there are just too many of them coming at once. He doesn't stop fighting, but he turns his head to yell, "Switch again," to keep his team alive. Han's son rushes in to take the front line, sweating nervously as he prepares to block the next attack. Gina, the archer, moves into position, trying to find a clear shot in the chaos. She pulls back her bowstring, aiming carefully despite the frantic situation around her. Her arrow flies true, piercing a goblin right through its open mouth as it tries to attack. Meanwhile, the spearman struggles to push back the heavy weight of the monsters. The boss sees the team faltering and screams, "Don't stop! Keep moving or you'll die!" Another goblin lunges forward with its mouth wide open, ready to tear into them. A sudden impact smashes into the monster, knocking it back with brute force. Gina jumps into the fray, using her agility to dodge and attack at the same time. One of the fighters screams. as the pressure of the battle starts to crush him. The boss grabs a teammate and shouts, "Don't think about it. Just hold off the goblins." A system message pops up showing that Zid is bleeding and shaking in fear, his hands trembling uncontrollably. A goblin leaps at the distracted Zid, its claws ready to rip him apart. The boss sees Zid freezing up and realizes he needs to snap him out of it immediately. He punches Zid hard in the face, shouting, "Stop being a crybaby," to wake him up. Zid holds his bruised cheek, looking stunned and confused by the sudden hit. Gina rushes over to check on them, reminding Zid that Hansen will die if he doesn't help. She looks at Zid with intensity, telling him he must switch positions to save his friend. The boss turns back to the enemy, moving faster than the eye can see. His sword creates a whirlwind of blood as he slaughters every goblin in his path. More goblins pour in, their yellow eyes glowing with hunger as they rush the team. One of the fighters yells in panic, "Boss, my sword isn't working anymore." Hansen tries to be brave, shouting, "I can still fight. I can do this!" The fighter looks at his weapon in despair. The blade has become dull from hitting so many monsters. The boss ignores the complaints and continues to swing his weapon with deadly precision. He cuts through a goblin, blood splashing everywhere, proving that skill matters more than the weapon. He commands loudly, "Switch Irin! Use your shield if the sword is dull!" Jaina steps back for a moment, trying to catch her breath while the others cover her. The boss screams wildly, "Rest! Take the chance to rest now." Gina looks worried and asks already, as the rotation happens faster than before. Hansen and the dark-haired fighter switch places rapidly, trying to keep the defensive line unbroken. The boss sees a dangerous situation and yells Gina, "Shoot arrows at Hansen." Jaina hesitates for a split second, grabbing a handful of arrows from her quiver. The boss roars at her, his face full of urgency, forcing her to obey instantly. She releases the arrows, letting them fly dangerously close to her own teammate. The arrows miss Hansen and strike the goblins attacking him, saving his life just in time. A goblin's red eye widens in surprise as the arrow strikes it down. Another large goblin swings a heavy club, trying to crush the defenders. Zid is too slow to react and the goblin's attack comes crashing down toward him. A sharp blade pierces through Zid's chest and blood sprays out violently. Zid's eyes go wide with shock and pain as he realizes he has been fatally wounded. He collapses to the ground, his body falling limp in a dark corner of the battlefield. Gina turns around and gasps in horror, screaming, "Zid!" as she sees him fall. The boss looks down, his face twisting in anger and dread as he sees Zid bleeding out against the wall. Gina freezes in shock as she looks down at her fallen teammate. Zid lies motionless on the ground, his body slumped against the stone wall. A system warning appears before the boss's eyes, showing that Zid is in critical condition. The boss swings his sword violently, shouting, "Damn it," as he tries to hold back the monsters. Gina panics, asking with trembling hands if she should pull the spear out of Zid's wound. The boss screams at her to stop, warning that pulling it out will kill him instantly. Suddenly, a goblin lunges forward with a spear, aiming for the distracted team. The boss barely manages to block the attack, his face twisting with effort. The impact shakes his entire arm, but he refuses to step back. More goblins rush into the narrow alley, overwhelming the defenders with their numbers. The boss kicks a goblin away and makes a tough decision, shouting, "Jaina, Zid is already dead." He yells at her to ignore the body and focus on the fight, or they will all die. Jaina tears up but nods, forcing herself to accept the harsh reality. She wipes her tears and shouts, "Yes, sir," preparing her weapon again. The boss steps in front of her, blocking another wave of attacks with his shield. A system message pops up announcing that the boss has learned a new skill, nimble movement. Gina fights through her tears, swinging her dagger desperately at the enemies. The boss smashes a goblin's head, feeling his proficiency level up in the middle of combat. Suddenly, a terrifying scream echoes through the alleyway as Hansen gets grabbed. Goblins drag Hansen into the darkness while he begs, "Boss, save me, Fliss!" The goblin screams in agony as the goblins tear into him without mercy. The boss grits his teeth, knowing it is too late to save him. The goblins swarm over Hansen's body, ending his life in seconds. The boss turns to the last survivor and shouts, "Urin, move. We have to go." The three survivors back away slowly, keeping their weapons pointed at the horde. They retreat toward a wooden gate structure at the end of the alley. A massive goblin with red eyes roars and chases after them. The boss swings his sword one last time to create some distance. He slices through the goblin, cutting it down to buy his team a few seconds. Blood sprays everywhere as he clears the path to the wall. Jaina climbs up the wooden gate first and yells, "I'm up, hurry." The boss and Aaron scramble to find footing on the slippery cobblestones. Gina reaches her hand down frantically, shouting, "Grab my hand." Aaron looks terrified, exhausted and covered in dirt as he reaches up. Gina grabs his wrist tightly, trying to pull his heavy weight up the wall. Below them, the boss fights off the goblins alone, groaning as he gets hit. A goblin bites into the boss's armor, but he ignores the pain to cover the retreat. From above, Gina watches helplessly as the monsters surround the boss. The boss kicks the goblins away and prepares to jump for the wall. His eyes glow with blue energy as he uses his new strength to leap upwards. As Aaron climbs, a goblin grabs his leg and the boss slashes down to cut it loose. Aaron screams as the goblin's claws tear into his calf before letting go. Gina uses all her strength to hoist Aaron up onto the platform. Below, the goblins start doing something unexpected and terrifying. They begin climbing on top of each other, forming a pile of bodies to reach the high wall. The boss lands on the platform and shouts, "Whoa, they're smart." Gina looks down in horror as the tower of goblins rises higher and higher. She asks in a panic, "What do I do now?" Realizing her arrows are gone, the boss hands her a spear and orders her to stab anything that comes close. He yells, "Just 30 seconds!" Survive for 30 more seconds. A timer appears in the air, 0:32 remaining. The goblins are almost at the top. A goblin's clawed hand reaches over the edge of the platform. The boss immediately swings his sword, severing the hand instantly. He stands firm at the edge, refusing to let a single monster pass. Another goblin tries to jump up, but the boss stabs at midair. A goblin snarls viciously, its red eyes locking onto the boss. The boss breathes heavily, his stamina draining fast as he fights non-stop. He swings wildly, cutting down 2 goblins at once in a blur of motion. The impact of his attacks knocks the pile of goblins backward. With one final roar of effort, the boss screams, putting everything into his last defense. The boss takes a heavy hit and blood sprays into the air as he stumbles back. He grits his teeth in pure fury, refusing to let the pain stop him. Surrounded on all sides, he swings his weapon desperately to keep the goblins away. He slashes violently, cutting down the monsters that try to get too close. He screams out in frustration, realizing that his stamina is almost completely gone. Standing alone in the darkness, his body shakes, but he does not fall. Jenna watches him with fear in her eyes, wondering if they are all going to die here. The boss stares into the shadows, where dozens of red eyes glow back at him hungrily. For a moment, he thinks back to his past life, wondering why he has to struggle so much. His vision turns red with anger as he decides that he will not accept death in this place. A goblin lunges from the dark, its red eyes shining brightly as it attacks. The boss counters instantly, his movements becoming wild and unpredictable. He spins around, creating a whirlwind of attacks that pushes the enemies back. His eye glows with a terrifying light as he refuses to give up. Goblins fly through the air, tossed aside by his sudden surge of strength. He tears through their ranks, moving faster than before. The monsters start to look afraid as they realize their prey has become the predator. He strikes again and again, showing no mercy to the creatures. Blood and goblin bodies scatter everywhere as he clears a path. Suddenly, a dark red aura explodes around him as he awakens the berserk skill, looking like a demon. Jenna holds her knife with trembling hands, her body screaming in pain. The boss breathes heavily, his breath visible as the rage consumes him. He roars at the horde, his face twisted into a terrifying smile, challenging them to come into him. With a massive swing, he unleashes a giant wave of red energy that crushes everything in front of him. He continues to slash through the darkness. Unstoppable in his berserk state, a large goblin tries to bite him. But the boss doesn't even flinch. He blocks an attack, but the force is so strong that his sword begins to crack. The blade shatters into pieces, exploding under the pressure of the battle. Even with a broken weapon, the goblins swarm him, thinking he is defenseless. But the boss kicks the goblins away with crushing force, fighting with just his body. He screams like a beast, and the red energy flares up even brighter. The remaining goblins are blown away by the sheer power of his scream. He charges forward, using the broken handle of his sword to stab and punch. The goblins turn and run, terrified of the monster he has become. He chases them down, grabbing one as it tries to escape. His face is covered in blood and shadows, looking more like a monster than a human. The last of the goblins are wiped out in a blur of motion. Jenna and Aaron watch in silence, too shocked to speak. Finally, the boss stops moving, panting heavily as the adrenaline fades. A blue light surrounds them as the system announces the dungeon has been cleared. Their weapons hit the floor with a clang as they are transported to safety. The boss stands in the safe zone, looking dazed and confused. He looks around, trying to understand if the battle is really over. Aaron is lying on the floor, completely passed out from exhaustion. Jenna stares at the boss, her eyes wide with disbelief that they survived. She lets out a weak, hysterical laugh, tears mixing with the dirt on her face. The boss looks at her, his sanity slowly returning. He reaches out his hand to help her up from the ground. She takes his hand and he pulls her to her feet. They stand together in the blue light, battered and bruised, but alive. The boss looks down at his broken sword lying on the ground. They walk slowly through the corridor, discussing how difficult the fight was. Jenna admits she was terrified, but she is just glad it's over. They emerge into a bright, grassy area where another team member runs to meet them. The blonde man greets them cheerfully, happy to see the boss return. He smiles brightly, unaware of the heavy atmosphere surrounding the survivors. The boss looks down with a shadowed face and delivers the bad news about the others. The blonde man stops smiling as the boss walks past him, leaving the weight of the dead behind him. Han lay awake in his dark room, staring at the ceiling. He told himself that he didn't have time to feel sad about the people who died yesterday. He held his hand over his face, his eyes glowing in the dark. In this tower, death was just a normal thing that happened every day. Turning his back to the room, he curled up on the bed. He decided not to think about the difficult battles for now, and just rest for the night. Outside the base was quiet under the night sky. Lives blew past the old buildings as everyone slept to prepare for tomorrow. The title of the story, Pick Me Up, appeared on the screen, signaling the start of a new day. The next morning, the sun rose over the training grounds. Wooden training dumbbells stood in a row, waiting for the heroes to start their practice. Jana was already up and moving fast. Her red hair flew behind her as she swung her weapon with intense focus and speed. She moved her feet quickly, kicking up dust. She wasn't just going through the motions. She was training as if she were in a real fight. Han stood nearby, watching her with his arms crossed. He noticed that she was sweating and breathing hard, pushing her limits unlike the others. Jana slashed her dagger through the air with a sharp asterisk whoosh asterisk. She shouted, D, at the imaginary enemy, showing how serious she was about getting stronger. Callised who, Han looked away from her, lost in his own thoughts. He needed to focus on his own growth if he wanted to survive. He started doing handstand push-ups to build his strength. Sweat dripped from his body as he balanced upside down, working his muscles. While straining, he thought about his new skill called Berserk. He wondered if he could control it since it usually made people lose their minds in exchange for power. Suddenly, he felt hands grabbing his ankles. Jana was there, holding his legs steady to help him with his workout. Han looked at her upside down and told her to move her hand. Jana just smiled and teased him, saying she wouldn't hurt him. Jana stepped back and fixed her hair. She casually mentioned that she came here to train too, not just to watch him. Han stood up and looked at the status window floating in the air. He realized his growth was stuck at a low limit because he was only a one-star hero. He glanced over at the other trainees. They were hitting the wooden dumbbells lazily, not putting in any real effort to improve, and looked at them with cold eyes. He knew that the two people who died yesterday were the ones who actually worked hard, while these lazy guys survived. Han and Jana walked away from the training ground together. Han silently made a plan to get stronger so he wouldn't end up like the weak ones. Halashithur in another room, the blonde hero Aaron stood by the window. He looked depressed and refused to come out because he was still sad about his friends dying. Han stood outside Aaron's door, listening. He decided to leave Aaron alone for now, knowing that forcing him to talk wouldn't help. Han looked up at the bright sky above the base. He calculated the time difference between this world and the real world where the master arrived. The scene shifted to the master holding a smartphone. His finger hovered over the screen as he looked down at the game world from above. On the phone screen, the master zoomed in on the base. He could see all the little characters moving around as he prepared to give orders. Suddenly the fairy guide Nuri appeared in the game world. She opened her mouth wide and screamed at the heroes to wake up and get to work. Nuri floated in the air, yelling at the group. She scolded the lazy heroes for sleeping while Han was working hard to keep them alive. She pointed at the group and announced the team for the next mission. A list of names appeared in a text box floating next to her. Han stood in the front, looking calm. He saw his name on the list along with Jaina and 3 others he didn't know very well. A system message confirmed the party. They were going to the Kenout Forest. A daily dungeon marked as super easy for gathering materials. Halashi V. Jaina adjusted her armor, looking a bit nervous. She asked Han where the enemies were, expecting a tough fight like the last floor. The group stood inside the large teleportation room. Blue light shone from the magical gate in front of them. The gate displayed a large shield icon. It confirmed the location was the Kenout Forest and the time limit was 11 hours. One of the new party members, a man named Owen, walked up to Han. He looked a bit shy as he introduced himself to the leader. Han looked at Owen and simply nodded. He explained that this wasn't a combat mission, so there was no need to be so tense. A bright blue light engulfed them. Han told everyone not to worry as the magic spell transported them out of the base. The light faded, revealing a lush green forest. Trees towered over them, and the air was fresh and peaceful. The team looked around in confusion. There were no monsters attacking them, just quiet woods and sunlight. Gina looked around suspiciously. She whispered to Han, asking why it was so quiet and if it was a trap. In his small thought bubble, a cute cartoon version of Han laughed at a cartoon Gina. He told her it was funny that she was so scared of a simple gathering mission. Halash. Han swung his sword, cutting through thick bushes. He told the group that their job today was just to act like trash cans and collect items. He pointed to the ground where branches and stones lay. He explained that they needed to pick these up to use as materials for the base. Purple magic swirled around his hand as he stored the items. He showed them that even simple tree branches were valuable resources for the master. The other men looked dumbfounded. They had expected a battle, not a chore. But Han told them to get moving and fill the storage. While they worked, Jaina suddenly froze. Her ears perked up as she spotted something moving deep in the forest. Through the trees, a large deer with glowing eyes was grating. It looked healthy and delicious. Jaina's eyes turned into sparkling stars. She started drooling and shouted, "Meat, wait for me." Forgetting all about the mission, she fired an arrow that hit the deer's neck with a loud asterisk, "Twack asterisk." The deer cried out in surprise. Gina grinned like a maniac, holding a knife. She asked Han if she could butcher it right now because she was starving for real food. Han watched her go, shaking his head. He walked away quietly, leaving Jaina to handle her hunt while he pursued his own goal. Kala 6. Jaina yelled after him, asking where he was going. Han didn't answer and disappeared into the thick green leaves. He walked through the dense forest, pushing aside large leaves. Sunlight filtered down in beams, lighting his path. He arrived at a beautiful clearing with a large waterfall. The water crashed down into a sparkling blue lake. Han scanned the area carefully. A digital timer floated above his head, showing he had about 32 minutes left. He stood by the water's edge, looking intense. He wasn't here to relax. He was looking for a specific target. "Found it," he whispered. He spotted movement on the other side of the lake. He saw tracks on the wet ground. Following him with his eyes, he found the creature he had been searching for. A magnificent white beast with antlers. The queen of the forest was drinking from the lake. It looked like a magical unicorn mixed with a deer. Han focused on the glowing green gem on its forehead. That stone was a rare material he needed to upgrade his rank. He took a step forward, and his boot crunched on a twig. The sound echoed in the quiet clearing. Pelage 7. The queen of the forest reacted instantly. It roared, revealing sharp teeth, and its eyes glowed yellow with rage. Han didn't hesitate. He dashed forward, his sword leaving a trail of blue light as he closed the distance in a split second. The monster swung its massive antlers like a club. Han dodged the heavy attack, the wind from the swing blowing his hair back. Blue energy beams shot out from the monster's antlers. Han twisted his body in midair to avoid getting blasted. He flipped upside down, spinning gracefully to evade the chaotic magic attacks that tore up the ground. The monster roared again, gathering purple energy around its head. It was preparing a powerful magic spell to finish him off. Han landed on his feet, sliding backward. He looked up, assessing the monster's power with a calm expression. The beast glared at him, smoke rising from its nostrils. It was much stronger than the normal animals in the forest. Han smiled confidently, gripping his sword. He had memorized the schedule and knew exactly when to come here to hunt this boss. A graphic appeared showing 3 cards. It explained the dungeon schedule. Monday for mines, Wednesday for the forest. Han had planned this perfect hunt for the right day. The master sat in the real world, staring at his fallen screen. He watched his little heroes closely, waiting to see the result of their hunt. In the game, the forest entrance was dark and eerie. The other team members stood there, nervously, waiting for Han and Jenna to return. Suddenly, one of the men screamed in pure terror. He pointed at the bushes and yelled, "Heek! It's a monster!" A large shadow emerged from the darkness. 2 red eyes glowed menacingly, making the waiting group tremble with fear. But it wasn't a monster attacking them. It was Han, walking casually while carrying a gigantic deer carcass on his shoulder. Han dropped the massive head of the queen deer on the ground. It landed with a heavy thud, kicking up dust. Jenna walked out from behind him, looking completely drained. She wiped her forehead and complained that she was tired as hell. Han didn't say a word to the shocked group. He just walked past them coolly, leaving the heavy lifting to the others. Jenna stood next to the prize, grinning. She told everyone they caught 2 deer and a boar, so they could finally eat as much meat as they wanted. Later, inside the base, Jenna was busy butchering the deer head on a table. She noticed it had a strange spiral horn even though it was female. As she finished cutting, a system message popped up. Jenna smiled happily because she had awakened a new skill called Hunter of the Forest. Han held up a glowing green gem he found inside the monster. It was a wind attribute stone, a rare item that would help them get stronger. That night, the mansion was warm and lively. Bright light shone from the windows and the delicious smell of food filled the air. The dining table was piled high with roasted meat. The heroes drooled and cheered, excited to finally have a real feast after days of bad food. After dinner, Han and Jenna stood in the hallway. Han explained that the dungeon locations changed depending on the day of the week. He pointed to a holographic schedule. Today was the day for Senmeyer Plateau, a special place to gather attribute stones. A magical blue portal opened in the room. It swirled with energy, ready to take them to the new gathering spot. Jenna smiled widely, looking excited. She was happy that this mission was just about gathering items and not a life or death battle. They stepped through the portal and landed on solid ground. A boot stepped onto the grassy cliff of the plateau. The view was amazing. Strong winds blew across the landscape and the sky was painted with the beautiful colors of a sunset. Jenna walked ahead, her long red braid blowing in the wind. She took a deep breath and said the breeze felt really nice. They walked along a rocky path on the cliff. Bright red flowers grew out of the gray stones, glowing in the evening light. Jenna stopped to look at a large flower. She recognized it as a plant of life, a valuable ingredient for making healing potions. The mountain stretched out far into the distance. It was a peaceful and majestic scene, very different from the dark dungeons. Suddenly, a black wolf jumped out to attack. Han reacted fast, blocking its bite with his shield while Jenna aimed her bow. The fight was over instantly. The wolf lay dead on the ground, easily defeated by their teamwork. Jenna smiled confidently. She was happy that they were strong enough to handle these monsters without any trouble. Han knelt down to hardest parts from the wolf. He told Jenna to save the claws and fangs, because they could use them for crafting. He picked up a blue stone dropped by the wolf. It was another attribute stone, filled with the ore of the plateau. After the work was done, Jenna sat on the grass to rest. She wiped sweat from her face, looking relaxed. She looked at the sunset and whispered, "It's peaceful. There is food and a place to sleep." Han stood silently behind her listening. His face was shadowed as he heard her wish for a simple life. Jenna looked down sadly and said, "It would be a paradise if the master wasn't here." She wished the player would never return. Han smirked slightly. He asked her, "Do you not want to fight?" Knowing that they had no choice in this game, a few days later, the peace was broken. A system window appeared announcing Floor 6 and a new exploration quest. A beam of blue light struck the forest. A new hero named Dika appeared, summoned to join their party. Dika held a spear and looked nervous. He bowed politely and said, "I look forward to working with you guys." Han looked at the newcomer with a sharp gaze. He was checking Dika's equipment to see if he was useful. Han suddenly put a finger to his lips. He signaled everyone to be quiet because enemies were nearby. The group crouched behind some bushes. Jenna whispered that there seemed to be about 100 enemies ahead. Han spoke to Aaron and Dika. He explained that they didn't need to kill everyone, just fulfill the clear conditions. Through the leaves, they saw a group of 3 goblins. They looked mean and were guarding the path. One goblin had a large war horn on its chest. Han knew that if the goblin blew that horn, reinforcements would swarm them. Han hid behind a large tree trunk. He peeked out carefully, formulating a plan to take them out silently. Han gave the order. He pointed and told Jenna to shoot the goblin on the right immediately. The camera showed the group from above, hiding in the green bushes, ready to strike. Aaron the spearman nodded nervously. He said yes, gripping his weapon tight. Han and Aaron stood ready. Han confirmed the plan one last time before the attack started. Jenna released her arrow. It flew through the air with a blue magical glow, heading straight for the target. The arrow slammed into the goblin's head with a loud impact. The other goblins panicked, realizing they were under attack. Aaron stepped out from the trees. He pulled his arm back and threw his heavy spear with all his strength. The spear flew like a missile. It smashed into the second goblin's chest, knocking it backward instantly. The goblin with the horn realized the danger. It frantically lifted the horn to its lips to blow the alarm. Before it could make a sound, a black blur flew past. A blade sliced through its neck, sending its head flying into the air. Han stood there, his sword swing complete. He had decapitated the goblin before it could call for help, keeping their presence secret. The battle is intense. One of Han's summoned soldiers lunges forward with a long spear, aiming directly at the enemy goblin. The spear strikes true. It smashes into the goblin's chest with a heavy impact, breaking through its defenses. The goblin's face twists in shock and pain as it realizes it has been hit by a fatal blow. It glazes into the air. The force of the attack knocks the goblin's head back violently. The goblin collapses. The soldier pulls back his weapon as the enemy falls defeated to the ground. Another goblin nearby screams as it is cut down, ending the wave of monsters in this area. A bright logo appears on the screen. It says "Pick Me Up," and shows a reward window of 5000 G confirming the stage is clear. Han stands amidst the blue digital particles. He catches his breath, looking calm but alert. Han looks over his shoulder. He narrows his eyes, sensing that even though the battle is over, something else is coming. He looks into the distance. A large wooden fortress stands on a hill lit by torches. This is the next objective, a goblin village. # Kalash 2. A vision appears of a fierce wolf with glowing yellow eyes. This represents a new connection Han has unlocked called the main wolf. Han walks through a blue digital tunnel. He analyzes the game data, realizing this mission is part of a larger stream of quests. He thinks about the enemies. A goblin's face flashes in his mind as he predicts the difficulty of the next stage. He visualizes the entrance to the goblin village. He knows he needs to investigate the area for hints. A massive pillar of blue light shoots down from the sky. It signals that new units or items are being summoned into the world. Later, Han stands in the town square at night. He is deep in thought, planning his next move. Suddenly, Aaron rushes toward him. He looks panicked and is sweating heavily as he calls out to Han. Aaron points behind him, stammering. He reports that wild people have suddenly appeared in the town and are causing trouble. Han listens calmly. Beside him, the red hyena looks confused by Aaron's panicked report. Han's face falls into shadow. His eyes glow with a cold blue light as he realizes these wild people are his new summons. # Kalash 2. In the shadows, 5 silhouettes stand together. They look dangerous and powerful, radiating a heavy pressure. The scene flashes back briefly. Han is talking to Whistle, confirming he spent money to buy a special hero package. Han walks with Jaina and Usul. He explains that he spent gems and gold to summon a specific group of mercenaries. They walk through the quiet streets of the town. Han leads them toward the tavern where the new heroes are waiting. They arrive at a large wooden building. Warm light spills out from the windows into the dark street. Inside, they find a woman standing alone. She has long black hair and wears revealing leather armor. This is Edith. Gina's eyes go wide. She blushes and stammers hello there, loudly surprised by how beautiful Edith is. Edith looks startled. She shrinks back a little and quietly says "Hi," appearing much sheer than she looks. Han immediately cuts in. He tells Gina to shut up so he can focus on checking the new unit's abilities. Han stares at Edith. A system window pops up next to her, showing she is a 3-star thief named Edith Callan. # Kalash 4. Han, Jaina and Edith sit at a table. Drinks are poured as Han begins to interview his new recruit. Edith looks down at the table sadly. She seems confused and struggling to remember her past. Han leans forward. He asks her if she knows how she got here, or if she remembers anything about synthesis. The camera zooms in on Han's face. He looks intense, trying to gauge how much the higher-ranked heroes know about this world. Edith looks away nervously. She says her head hurts when she tries to remember, and she only knows she was summoned to fight. A digital screen appears showing 5 cards. These are the members of the main wolf mercenary group that Han pulled. Jaina smiles kindly at Edith. She tries to make the atmosphere lighter by asking about Edith's old mercenary team. Edith sweats nervously. She says the name Main Wolf sounds cool, but she still feels disoriented. Han's expression darkens. He is about to ask another question when a loud noise interrupts them. "Who's calling my name?" A massive bearded man kicks the door open, shouting loudly as he enters. # Kalash 5. Edith stands up quickly. She tells Han she has to go because her team leader is calling for them. The big man Avant grabs a piece of meat and bites into it savagely, ignoring everyone else in the room. Edith walks away from the table to join her group. She looks small next to the loud, boisterous giant. She turns back one last time. She gives Han and Jaina an apologetic look for leaving so abruptly. Han and Jaina are left alone at the table. Han watches them leave, analyzing their group dynamic. A system menu appears. It shows the Drag Heroes interface where Han organizes the new main wolf party. Outside, the full group of 5 mercenaries stands together. They look tough, wild, and ready for violence. A male villager approaches Han. He looks terrified, pointing at the new group of heroes. The villager whispers to Han. He says the new guys have a scary atmosphere and feels like they are bad people. The mercenary group glares back. Their intimidating presence makes the normal townspeople tremble in fear. Hashashashkalash 6. Han looks at the villager coldly. He asks for free, implying that protection isn't given without effort. The villager tries to flatter Han. He stammers, bats are strong, hoping Han will just solve the problem for them. Han sneers. He looks disgusted by their cowardly attitude and refuses to baby them. The villager flinches. He looks terrified as Han scolds him for being weak and relying on others to survive. Han turns away, his eye glowing blue. He leaves the scared villager behind, focusing only on making his army stronger. Han looks closely at his companion, noticing that his face is badly swollen and bruised. His friend tries to look away, sweating nervously as he attempts to hide the injuries on his face. The villager is just a simple accident, but his face is clearly beaten up from a fight. Han realizes the truth: his friend didn't just fall, he was beaten up by someone else. Later, Han walks casually with his red-haired ally Usul, whistling a tune as if nothing is wrong. Suddenly, a system notification pops up announcing that the stage is clear and new heroes are arriving. A portal opens and a new group of rough-looking mercenaries steps out, looking arrogant. The leader of the group, a man with long silver hair named Event, glares coldly at Han. Han sits calmly on a bench, resting his sword on his shoulder, completely unfazed by their arrival. Hollis too, a large, muscular brute from the new group, yells at Usul, rudely asking who she is. Event steps forward and introduces himself as the captain, demanding to know Han's name. Event looks annoyed by Han's attitude, realizing that Han isn't afraid of them at all. Deciding Han isn't worth his time, Event turns around and walks away to inspect the area. Suddenly, a system window appears, announcing that the master is starting a synthesis process. A massive, glowing gate opens up in the center of the plaza, radiating strange energy. A group of confused villagers and weak, one-star heroes appears, looking around in panic. The little fairy guide flies around frantically, trying to explain what is happening to the new arrivals. The large brute grabs one of the terrified villagers by the neck, laughing as he prepares to throw him. Hallis 3. Han and Usul watch in shock, realizing the master is sacrificing these people to power up the mercenaries. The brute and his team mercilessly drag the screaming villagers toward the glowing gate. The victims beg for mercy as they are thrown into the light to be consumed as fuel. Han watches the cruelty with a dark expression, disgusted by how the weak are being treated. After absorbing the sacrificed villagers, the brute glows with golden light, celebrating his level up. The remaining villagers huddled together, terrified that they will be the next ones to die. The mercenaries corner the survivors, ready to toss them into the machine as well. Suddenly, Han steps in and blocks the path, telling the fairy to wait a moment. The brute glares down at Han, annoyed that someone is interrupting his power-up session. Han looks back with a terrifying grin, his eyes glowing with dangerous intent. Kalash 4. The brute swings his massive axe at Han, shouting insults and trying to crush him. Han dodges the attack effortlessly, the blade missing his face by mere inches. Usul watches from the side, surprised by how easily Han avoided the deadly strike. Event grabs the brute's arm, ordering him to stop making a scene right now. Han stands his ground, calling them out for being bandits rather than true heroes. A dark aura surrounds Han as he looks at them with pure contempt, ready to kill. The system interface shows red warnings, indicating the hostility has broken out between the allies. The fairy panics and shouts that fighting between fellow heroes is strictly forbidden by the rules. Han ignores the rule, arguing that these people act like monsters and need to be punished. He gives a chilling smile, suggesting that he has a way to solve this problem within the rules. Kalash 5. Event stares blankly at Han, realizing that this man is crazy enough to challenge them all. Han taunts them, saying they only pick on the weak because they are afraid of strong opponents. The fairy stammers nervously, trying to prevent a bloodbath, but no one is listening. Han slams his hand down, officially challenging Event to a one-on-one duel. Event points a finger at Han, asking what the terms of this duel will be. The two men face each other in the courtyard, the tension in the air thick and heavy. Han explains the condition. If he wins the duel, he gets to consume Event for power. Asa looks horrified, realizing that this isn't just a spar, it is a fight to the death. Event draws his sword with a confident smirk, accepting the duel and preparing to kill Han. Han stands ready for battle, his dark coat flowing around him as he prepares to face his opponent. The long-haired swordsman Event accepts the challenge with a confident smirk, finding the situation amusing. Jaina looks worried as she watches the confrontation, concerned about the dangerous bet that has just been made. Han turns back and firmly orders Jaina and the others to leave the area so they don't get caught in the fight. With the bystanders gone, Han and Event stare each other down, the tension in the air rising as the duel is about to begin. Event mocks Han, believing that a lower-level fighter stands no chance against his superior skills. However, Han remains completely calm, his eyes focused and showing no sign of fear despite the taunts. The system window pops up, confirming the duel between the two men and displaying the harsh penalty for the loser. The fight begins instantly as Event dashes forward, his movements fast and aggressive as he aims to end it quickly. But Han reacts perfectly, his eyes wide with intensity as he prepares to counter the incoming attack. Red energy explodes outwards as their weapons clash with tremendous force, shaking the ground around them. Han's eye glows with a menacing red light, showing that he is taking this fight much more seriously than his opponent expected. He swings his sword with incredible speed, creating a blur of motion that catches Event off guard. Metal clashes against metal, sending sparks flying as Han's heavy strike pushes Event back. Event grimaces in pain and shock, realizing too late that Han's strength is far greater than his level suggests. A massive burst of purple energy erupts from Han's weapon, overwhelming Event's defenses completely. Han's hand clamps down, crushing through Event's guard with brutal efficiency. Debris flies into the air as the force of the attack shatters the stone pavement beneath their feet. Han steps forward through the dust, looking down at his defeated opponent with cold indifference. He raises his sword high, ready to deliver another punishing blow to the fallen swordsman. Event screams in agony as he is relentlessly beaten. Unable to fight back against Han's overwhelming power, Han slams him into the ground again, blood flying as he shows no mercy to the man who mocked him, pinning Event to the floor with his blade. Han stops moving, waiting for the final moment. The mercenary leader watching from the sidelines yells out in anger, demanding to know what Han is doing. Han snaps back aggressively, shouting that the duel isn't over until the loser admits defeat or dies. A dark shadow covers Han's face as he glares at the enemy, looking more like a monster than a hero. He reaches down and grabs Event's face with a tight grip, lifting his head up roughly. Han squeezes Event's face, silencing his screams and forcing him to look directly into his eyes. The other mercenaries watch in horror, realizing they might have messed with the wrong person. Han turns his attention to the group, still holding their beaten comrade, and begins to threaten them. He locks eyes with Edith, the female mercenary, asking her if she really wants to die for these people. Han whispers a terrifying offer to her, giving her one chance to switch sides before it's too late. He tightens his grip on Event's head, making it clear that he will crush anyone who opposes him. The mercenary captain roars in fury, his face twisting with rage as he watches his man getting tortured. Edith trembles with fear, sweat running down her face as she weighs her options between loyalty and survival. Han presses his blade against the ground, the sound of scraping metal adding to the intimidation. He smiles wickedly, enjoying the fear he is causing, looking completely in control of the situation. The mercenary captain loses his patience and screams, preparing to charge in to save his crew member. Edith makes her choice, her legs shaking as she realizes staying with her current team means death. She steps away from her old group, the sound of her heels clicking on the stone signaling her betrayal. Han stands tall with his dark aura flaring while Edith moves behind him, accepting his protection. The mercenary captain is furious at the betrayal, his eyes glowing red with murderous intent. Han swings his weapon one last time, ending the duel decisively and claiming his victory. Suddenly the small fairy Loki appears, using her magic to block the angry mercenaries from advancing. A giant shadowy mouth appears behind the enemies as Han's dark powers begin to manifest physically. The system announces that the main wolf mercenaries have been disbanded due to the loss of their members. The captain tries to attack, swinging his massive weapon, but he is too slow to stop what is coming. Purple energy swirls around the battlefield, signaling that the losers are being erased by the system. Han looks on with a cold, glowing red eye, watching as his enemies are consumed by the penalty. The scene turns into a blood-red nightmare as the defeated mercenaries are torn apart by the dark energy. Loki laughs maniacally in the background, enjoying the chaos and the destruction of their enemies. A face twists into despair as it fades away, paying the ultimate price for losing the bet. Han stands amidst the dissipating energy, his hair blowing in the wind as the battle concludes. He ends up at the sky, seeing a notification window appear above the ruined battlefield. Pan checks his phone's screen while Loki flies beside him, looking satisfied with the results of the synthesis. Several notifications pop up, confirming that the enemy heroes have returned to the goddess, meaning they are gone forever. A golden card appears in front of Han, showing his own stats and image, indicating he has leveled up. Han walks away from the scene down a long corridor, his figure cast in shadow as he leaves the destruction behind. He glances to the side with a sharp look, his mind already moving on to the next challenge. A giant, glowing eye watches him from the background, suggesting a higher power is observing his progress. Han smirks confidently, asking now, as if he is ready to take on whatever the tower throws at him next. The scene opens with a view of the base camp, now peaceful after the recent battles. The magical barrier in the sky shines brightly over the small town. Inside the base, the survivors crowd around Haim. They are extremely excited and grateful. They bow their heads and salute him, shouting that the boss is amazing for saving them. One blond man is particularly loud with his praise, his eyes sparkling with admiration. He tries to flatter Han, acting very friendly. Suddenly, Jenna grabs the man's face and pinches his cheek hard. She is annoyed and tells him to shut up and not say anything unnecessary to the master. Ignoring the bickering, the other survivors speak up. They sincerely thank Han. They explain that the new people who threatened them with swords were scary, but Han saved everyone. A chubby man steps forward with a nervous smile. He tries to act innocent, saying that they are safe now thanks to Han, hoping to get on his good side. However, Han walks right past them without a warm greeting. His expression is cold and uninterested in their flattery. The chubby man starts sweating profusely. He realizes something is wrong because Han isn't accepting their gratitude. The atmosphere suddenly becomes heavy. Han stops and turns his head. He asks them coldly what they mean by us. He explains that he only saved the useful newbies, implying these people standing here are not part of that group. The crowd stands frozen in the town square. They look confused and terrified as Han announces that he is about to perform a synthesis, which sounds ominous. Faces turn pale with fear. The men realize Han is angry about their laziness. They panic, knowing that getting on Han's bad side means death. The chubby man screams in protest. He yells that they did their absolute best and worked hard, trying to lie his way out of the situation. Two other men look at each other in shock. They are terrified because Han has called out their specific names, singling them out from the crowd. Gina steps in, looking furious. She shouts at them, asking if they really worked hard. She exposes their lies, saying they only did the bare minimum, like moving meat while others fought for their lives. Han doesn't waste time listening to more excuses. He moves instantly, his dark coat flowing behind him as he prepares to punish them. With a burst of blue energy, Han strikes. He uses his telekinetic power to blast one of the men who tried to run away or argue. The bald man is slammed into the ground violently. He lies there groaning in pain, completely unable to fight back against Han's overwhelming power. Seeing this, the chubby man loses his mind with fear. He screams at the top of his lungs, pulling his hair, realizing there is no escape for him either. Han stands calmly with his arms crossed, watching the chaos. Beside him, the red-haired woman Edith watches silently as Han passes his final judgment on the lazy group. Suddenly, the 6 useless men begin to glow with a bright blue light. Their bodies shatter into digital fragments like broken glass as the synthesis process begins. The system screen appears, showing the names of the 6 lazy men: Lewis, Jeffrey, Owen, and others. The text confirms they are disappearing, which means they are being sacrificed. Their life force is combined and fed into a single card. The golden card reveals a woman named Edith Callan. She levels up to 3 stars, absorbing the power of the men who were just erased. The light fades, and Edith stands there, now stronger. The 6 men are completely gone, leaving only the upgraded warrior standing in the beam of light. Han looks at the remaining survivors with a glowing blue eye. He tells them that in this world, your past doesn't matter. If you want to survive, you must prove your worth. The remaining crowd is shaking uncontrollably. They are traumatized by seeing their companions erased so easily. They realize they must work hard or they will be next. One man clutches his chest, terrified. He asks a woman next to him what he should do, realizing he has no combat talent and might be useless to Han. An old man with a beard steps forward, looking serious. He suggests that if they can't fight, they must find other ways to be useful, like crafting or cooking. One smiles, satisfied that they finally understand. He tells them that if they want to fight, he will train them. If not, they must find another role. He gives a reassuring look to the redhead Edith. He explains that he will protect anyone who proves their value, giving the survivors a small glimmer of hope. Gina smiles at a worker, telling him to go learn woodworking. The atmosphere shifts from terror to a desperate need to work and be useful. Later, Han walks through the town with Gina. He explains his reasoning. The lazy men were dragging everyone down, and with the difficulty increasing, he needed a stronger fighter like Edith. Han's face turns serious. He thinks about the future. The 10th floor is approaching and the monsters will get much harder. He needs a second party of strong fighters, not just weak porters. He imagines the upcoming challenge, a massive, ominous red tower that reaches into the sky. This is the next stage of their survival game. The inside of the tower is dangerous and filled with traps. Han knows that a simple party won't be enough to clear it safely. The view shifts back to a map of their current base. Han is planning out the expansion and where to place his units for the best defense. The scene cuts to a warm bakery. A kind woman with dark hair presents a tray of fresh bread. She is one of the non-combatants who found a way to be useful. Han picks up a piece of bread. The woman explains she made it by grinding potatoes into powder since they don't have wheat. Han takes a bite and seems pleased. Even though it's simple food, it proves that non-fighters have a place here. He encourages this kind of contribution. Later at the training grounds, Gina stands ready with a bow. But she looks confused because Han has asked her to spar using daggers, not her main weapon. Gina complains, asking why she has to fight Edith with close-range weapons. She is a ranger, so this puts her at a disadvantage, but Han insists on the training. The fight begins instantly. Stories of motion lines show feet shuffling and kicking up dust as Edith and Gina dash toward each other. Gina, holding 2 daggers, lunges forward. Edith, with her new strength, matches her speed. The 2 women clash violently in the training arena. Sparks fly as their blades hit. Gina is fast, attacking relentlessly, but Edith is using her rogue skills to parry and deflect the attacks. A close-up shows Edith's face. She is sweating and intense. She is shocked by Gina's strength, realizing that even a young child like Gina is incredibly powerful. Edith barely dodges a sharp slash from Gina. The wind pressure from the attack cuts through the air, showing that Gina isn't holding back much. Edith uses her agility to flip backward into the air. She spins gracefully to create distance between her and Gina's deadly daggers. She lands in a crouch, skidding across the ground. The blue floor tiles crack slightly under the impact of their high-speed battle. Both women stop for a moment. Edith asks if Gina was part of a famous martial arts clan because she is so strong. Gina laughs and says she is just a normal hunter's daughter. Exhausted, they both sit on the ground, panting heavily. Edith realizes that Jaina became this strong just by training here in this hellish world. It motivates her. Han steps in, interrupting their break. He looks down at Edith, telling her she has great potential. With her high growth rate, she will soon catch up to the main party if she keeps working. The final scene shows Han training alone later. He strikes a wooden dummy with incredible force, his black hair moving with the impact. He is pushing himself just as hard as everyone else. Edith watches him with a determined smile. She realizes that in this place, ever equals survival. She vows to keep training and become a core member of the team. At the training grounds, Aaron is working hard, running while dragging heavy tires to build his strength. Nearby, another recruit is practicing his swordsmanship, swinging a wooden sword against a training dummy with great focus. The master Han approaches a new recruit named Ursher and asks if he is the one everyone is talking about. Ursher looks surprised and confirms his identity when Han asks for his name. Ursher explains that he used to be a porter who carried luggage for mercenaries, but he always dreamed of becoming a mercenary himself. Han smiles, amused by the man's background and honesty. He orders Ursher to raise his sword, deciding to test if the man has what it takes to fight for real. That night, the cruel process of synthesis begins to weed out the weak members who aren't useful. The magical card glows gold, signaling that Ursher has survived the combination process and become stronger while others disappeared. Meanwhile, the main combat team is out in the forest, fighting against a large, horned monster. Early the next morning, the sun begins to rise over the base while everyone is still tired. The team members stand together in the courtyard, looking sleepy and confused about why they were called so early. Han arrives and tells them to be quiet, commanding their attention immediately. The group stares at him, wondering what is going on and why they aren't getting ready for the usual dungeon run. Han holds up a cup filled with sticks, a scary smile on his face as he prepares to make a big decision. The atmosphere becomes tense as the group realizes a major change is about to happen to their team structure. Han shakes the cup of sticks, announcing that they will decide the new party members through a random draw. He explains that the group will be split into two teams, with himself leading one and the dark-haired woman, Edith, leading the other. Edith looks shocked and points at herself, surprised that she has been chosen as a leader. Han continues explaining the plan while Jaina and the others listen intently, trying to understand the new rules. He reminds them of the danger they faced on the 5th floor, where having weak members almost got everyone killed. He explains that for future quests, they will need many more people, so they must train two separate teams to be strong. Han holds up two sticks with colored tips, explaining that red means his team and blue means Edith's team. He shakes the wooden container vigorously to mix up the lots. A single stick flies out of the container to determine the first person's fate. Jaina happily holds up a stick with a red tip, thrilled that she gets to stay on the master's team. The rest of the group reacts with mixed emotions, some relieved and others nervous about who they will be paired with. One of the male members looks very anxious, worried that he might be left behind or put in a weak team. Han looks at him calmly, telling him not to worry because the teams are balanced for a reason. With the drawing finished, Han prepares to lead his new group, confident that this is the best way to survive. The red team, led by Han with Jaina and Aaron, begins walking toward their objective. The blue team, led by Edith, stays behind, with Edith promising that they won't lose or fall behind. The system window displays the final lineup for Party 1 and Party 2, locking in their positions. Deep inside the dungeon, a heavy rainstorm is raging, making this ability very poor. Suddenly, lightning strikes the dark forest, revealing a horde of goblins hiding in the shadows. The goblins screech and charge forward, their weapons raised to attack the intruders. Han and his team draw their weapons, standing firm despite the pouring rain in the mud. The battle begins violently, with the team clashing against the monsters in the storm. Han activates his special ability, his body glowing with a fierce red aura as he enters a rage mode. He swings his weapon with incredible speed, slashing through the enemies effortlessly. The red energy from his attacks tears through the goblin ranks, creating a chaotic scene. Monsters are sent flying into the air by the force of the blows, unable to withstand the power. Han lands on the ground, surrounded by the defeated enemies, the rain washing over him. One last goblin remains, shivering in terror as it looks at the overwhelming force in front of it. Jen asks if she should finish it off, but Han just stares at the creature silently. Han looks around the battlefield, noticing how the heavy rain has changed the environment. He sees that the river has risen significantly, which might be important for their strategy. After the battle, the team returns to the base where the weather is calm and sunny. Han talks to Aaron, who says he is going to the training grounds to get even stronger. Later, Han opens his system menu and sees a notification about a special premium offer. He stares at the screen, contemplating whether to spend his resources on a new summon. In massive, glowing stone, Gate appears before him, waiting for his command to open and bring forth a new hero. Han turns to his guide Aaron and tells him to stay put. He looks serious as he prepares for something big. Aaron looks confused and worried, watching Han walk away toward the main plaza. Han enters the summoning circle. A giant eye in the sky, the master looks down at the game world, ready to spend money. The scene shifts to the master's perspective. He is looking at his phone screen, which displays a premium summoning package. He decides to buy it. Back in the game world, a massive pillar of light shoots down from the sky as the summoning ritual begins. The light fades and the first hero appears. It is a beautiful woman with red hair, dressed in elegant robes. Next to her, a second hero appears. This one is an older, rugged man with a beard, wearing knight's armor. Han watches closely as the light clears completely, revealing the two new 3-star characters that the master just paid for. Suddenly, the red-haired woman loses her balance. She isn't used to this world and falls flat on her face with a loud thought. The old knight stands firm, looking confused, while Han stares at the clumsy mage who is still planted on the ground. Hallies to Han and Jenna, a member of his party, look at the new arrivals. Jenna whispers that the woman looks like a noble lady. The old knight, Roderick, looks around. He seems to understand his duty immediately, accepting that he has been summoned to fight. Roderick clenches his fist. He feels a strange compulsion to obey orders, like a form of hypnosis that comes with being a summoned hero. Han approaches the group. He announces that he and Edith, the other party leader, will draw lots to decide who gets which new member. Han explains the rules. There are 2 sticks in a cup. The blue stick gets the old veteran, and the red stick gets the noble lady. Han narrows his eyes. He knows the veteran is a safe choice, but the mage has higher potential. He starts calculating his move. Jenna holds the cup with the 2 sticks. Han reaches out his hand, his eyes scanning the sticks closely for any small difference. Han's sharp eyes spot a tiny bit of red paint on one of the sticks. He knows exactly which one is the winner. Suddenly, another hand shoots out. It's Edith. She also saw the red paint and tries to grab it first. Han notices her movement instantly. He realizes that Edith is just as sharp as he is and wants the mage for herself. Halashithu, moving with incredible speed, Hunt's hand blurs. He uses his superior agility to intercept Edith's hand before she can grab the stick. He smacks her hand away and successfully snatches the cup, leaving Edith shocked by his speed. Han pulls out the stick he wanted. It has a bright red tip. He has won the mage. Edith looks annoyed. Han explains that while warriors are common, a high-level mage is a paid-only unit and very rare. Edith frowns, realizing she lost the chance to get the rare magic user while Han looks satisfied with his prize. The red-haired woman Ivalka finally stands up. She is furious that they were gambling over her like she is an object. She points an accusing finger at Han, shouting that he cheated, and that this whole situation is ridiculous. Han ignores her complaints completely. He opens his system menu and sends a party invite to her. A system window pops up confirming that Ivalka has been added to Han's party. She is now officially his subordinate. Meanwhile, Roderick, the old knight, is assigned to Edith's party. He accepts his fate quietly, unlike the loud mage. Kalash for Han and Edith stand face to face. Han smiles confidently, knowing he's secured the best asset for his team. Edith walks away with Roderick. She tells Han that they will meet again in the dungeon, accepting her loss for now. Han turns back to Ivalka. She is still pouting and confused, not understanding how harsh this world is. Suddenly a dark energy swirls in the background. It is time for synthesis, where weak heroes are sacrificed to power up the strong ones. Han grabs Ivalka's shoulder and forces her to watch the horror happening nearby so she understands her reality. A useless hero screams in terror as his body begins to break apart into data. The man dissolves completely into light. His existence, erased to become experienced, points for another hero. Ivalka's eyes go wide with horror. She finally realizes that people here aren't just dismissed. They are consumed. A golden card appears in the air. The sacrifice is complete, and another hero has leveled up by absorbing the man's life. Han looks at the card coldly. He tells Ivalka to look closely, because this is the fate of anyone who is useless. Kalash 5. Han steps closer to Ivalka. He warns her that if she falls behind or doesn't fight, she will end up as food for someone else. The man screams as he is dragged by a fairy toward the synthesis circle. He begs for mercy, but no one listens. Roderick watches the scene with a grim expression. Even the veteran knight is disturbed by how disposable they are. A notification pops up for Edith's party. Roderick level up. He has just absorbed the man who was screaming. The synthesis is over. The large gate to the dungeon begins to glow blue, signaling it is time for battle. Ivalka is trembling. The reality of the synthesis has shattered her pride, and she looks at Han with fear. Gina adjusts her gear and tells the group to get ready. The fun and games are over. Now they have to survive. The magical portal swirls with energy. It is the entrance to the rift, a dangerous place full of monsters. Ivalka hugs herself, looking hesitant. She is a noble lady, not a soldier, and she is terrified of entering. Han walks past her toward the gate. He doesn't offer comfort, only a cold expectation that she must follow. Kalash 6. Inside the rift, Ivalka stops. She asks Han why she has to fight monsters in this strange place.